All right. Good evening, everybody. It is Sunday, December 21st, 2025, and you are watching the OU Flag Guys post game live stream. I'm joined tonight by Gavin and potentially Andrew later tonight. Gavin, how are you doing? How are you coping with our miserable heartbreaker of a loss to Alabama?
Uh, I'll tell you, if it was anything described by a season in a nutshell, that game in its entirety was basically our season in an entire nutshell, right there. Honestly, Uh, I mean that's just basically the only way I can really describe it. Honestly.
I don't disagree with you. We had a lot of hype going into that game. They rolled out the red carpet, pageantry was everywhere, the crowd was electric, and just as quickly as it started, it ended. Um, I kept circling back after the game of you can't be hard to kill when you commit seppuku on yourself, and that's exactly what happened. Is the magic just finally ran out, and OU in a heartbreaker lost on their own home turf and dropped another playoff game, this time to Alabama, who will advance to the uh, Rose Bowl against Indiana. I think I can speak for everybody when I say nobody, unless they were absolutely uh, insane, thought we were going to win the Natty this year. I think everybody was very realistic that like we may have got to this game, maybe past Indiana if the defense played lights out as they had, and probably hit their ceiling in the semifinals.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, that did not happen. OU instead came out very flat against Alabama, and even then, they had every chance and opportunity
Well,
because Alabama also did not play well. And unfortunately, when you spot Alabama 10 points, just like the last time you spotted them in the 2019, whichever, yeah, 2019,
it was
whatever playoff,
2018 Orange Bowl is what it was.
yeah, the 2018 Orange Bowl. For it, it's very hard to come back to, especially for this team. Now, for everybody watching tonight or anybody watching after the fact, we will cover the 2025 season as a whole. I want to keep that in mind. We'll recap kind of our thoughts on it. But I want to focus on this game tonight. Okay. So, focusing on the game, though, at this point. Oh, you had everything in their ballpark. You had the home field advantage. You had probably a little bit in Alabama's head that you were going to beat them. Everything was on the line of what was going to break first. Alabama losing to the same team twice in the same season since like 1918, or OU losing their first rematch. And walking into this game, I felt good about this game. I thought OU had the clear advantage. They had several key points that I thought that OU was going to take advantage of, and I should have just went with my gut feeling of every time I have a good feeling about it, the opposite seems to happen, and that's what exactly happened.
Hmm.
There's many points from this that we can take away. It was like the script was flipped from Tuscaloosa. Instead of OU's defense dominating, Alabama's defense dug their heels in and dominated OU back instead. They had to play disciplined, and they didn't. They had dumb mistakes here and there. I'm not nearly as hard on the punter as many other people are, as sometimes you just have those mental hiccups, and he doesn't have a track record of having that habit. But it was still it seems like as of late under Brent Venables' tenure, whenever the team makes a mistake, it is an absolutely back-breaking mistake, and that was one of two of them at that point.
It
Um,
compounded is basically what happened, honestly. Like, you had basically like the even the play before that, to where Mateer had that wide open pass open on a scramble to Xavier Robinson, and it just dropped out of his hands just by his fingertips. And he had plenty of real estate, to basically get the first down too. So it was like it was basically basically both of those sort of compounded where it kind of really changed momentum in that game.
And I would even say that that was not the right decision for him to make. I know we can flip the coin and say the coin can go back and forth on it of, well, why didn't he make the throw for it? I think it was more of that hasn't worked out at all season for Mateer. He's been very inconsistent for it. Instead, why don't you just run, pick up the first down, and then you can continue the drive, and maybe just maybe you're only down 7, or it's only 17-10 at halftime instead of 17 and or 17 to 17. I thought the play to Xavier was not the right play. I thought, again, I stress that. I think that's Xavier's not one of those guys at this point. I think Xavier is a solid running back, but we have not seen that skill set from him to make those incredible plays like we saw on Alabama's side at that point. Again, we were asking, Mateer has not had a good track record of doing that at all. I'd rather have taken the safe points and taken the open field in front of him, because at least you could have walked away with points. And that was something I mentioned with Sean a couple of days ago, is you can't leave points on the field, and we did. But then
Yeah.
again, we couldn't move the ball after in the second quarter. That was a terrible middle 8 at that point, and OU just could not get out of their own way. And as the reminiscence, and it's going to be compared, as everyone says, it's just like the squib kick from Georgia, that the dropped pass is reminiscent of the downfall of the game at that point. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to put that on Mateer and said Mateer had a great day. I disagree.
Yeah.
But you had a fine day. If you had told me
It
if you had told me that we scored 24 points, I would have thought we would have won. Mateer wasn't perfect. Mateer was good enough to win. It's just one of those things where if Robinson makes that catch, we're not talking about it today. If Mateer were, and who knows? There, I go back. I don't hate it. If he had run, I wouldn't have hated the decision. I don't hate the decision to throw. It's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate, and I wish I was living in a universe where he had run. But I admit that's also reactive. Where if he had if Robinson comes down with it, oh well, that's a great heads-up play by Mateer to keep his eyes downfield.
yeah.
It sucks. I don't think there's any. I have nothing. I'm just. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's one of those things where, that's luck. I don't want to call it luck because it really wasn't with that. But that's one of those just intangible things that it's just one of those intangible not tangible. It's just one of those random things that happens during a football game, and it was a crucial point in the game, and unfortunately, we got the short stick of it. But what are you gonna do?
Well, and the other point too, Swiggy, and this is something that I want to be able to do, and we'll talk about this later. Alabama was being able to make adjustments by basically doing a lot of sugar huddles, basically, and basically a defense not getting a lot of chance to being able to react. They were able to basically mix up tempos to where our defense, could not be able to get like the adjustments where they needed to go, and basically was outflanking the Sooners every time, whenever they went to those little quick huddles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
I mean, if we look at Old Miss too, I mean, whenever they mix tempo, we had issues. It's just one of those things where I feel like tempo was always a biggest issue. If they don't mix tempos or anything to where our defense is set up and everything, our defense has struggled whenever the tempos have been mixed.
yeah.
I
That's the
see.
down. That's the downside. Well, that's also the downside. That's also the downside of getting a rematch is more, someone's seen you have more looks. So
I'm going to be the disagreement on that. That I think a lot of Mateer's success last night was what I'd like to term empty calories. I think he got a lot of yards and he got a lot of passes, but it really didn't amount to anything. We see that a lot. We've seen Kansas run the ball a whole lot. Cool, you didn't score. You didn't do anything with it. I think
yeah, but
that's been Mateer all year, though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, but my thing is, I agree. Like I said, I don't even think he played a great game. He played well enough to win. Some of the stuff in the fourth quarter, yeah, maybe it would have changed if the score was different. Some of that play calling, I did not agree with a lot of what they did at the end of the game. But I mean, we put up we put up 24 points with as good as the defense has been this year. It probably should have been enough. And like Mateer definitely could have played better because there was that cycle from that from that play in the mid second quarter until end of the third quarter. Nothing was happening. So I mean, and you have cycles during a game like that. You can't score on every drive. You can't score on every drive, and it's. I mean, it's. He played well enough to win, but not well enough to force a win. If that makes any sense, like
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they played exactly what they've done all year. Is I think they can't score 30 points. They've been unable to do that all year. And the moment Alabama got to 30, it was over. Like there could have been maybe some Sooner magic at the end, but it was over at that point. Whatever it is this year, the offense is incapable of scoring more than essentially 24 points on their own. And the stuff they've done it, a lot of it was defensive help at this point. And I think they were, when the defense came out flat, and even I take the opposite of that, Swiggy and Gavin, is I think the defense did enough for us to win the game.
I agree.
The problem is one of our, throughout all the year, one of our units has been shit, and it's been the offense. They have not improved at all. They've just been there. I would make the argument that, well, they're better than last year's. Are they?
Yes.
Are they?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Jackson Arnold was painful last year,
but so was Mateer this year. And I think you traded in some aspects for it. Mateer was better.
No, Mateer was better. Look, I agree. The offense was not good, but at the same time, I thought with this defense, I thought 24 points would be enough to win. With the defense played well. They got put in some rough positions due to offensive mistakes, but no, I mean, look at Auburn this year. Look at Auburn this year with Jackson Arnold. Arnold got benched at Auburn. The offense, for all intents and purposes, was better. They were not enough.
Yeah,
I stand by that. They haven't been enough all year, though.
So, I'll agree. I'll agree with you on that, but that was still enough to get us 10 wins.
I would say only to a certain extent, to where I have some agreement with you, Josh. Like you said, the problem is it's basically like we've only kind of got somewhat of a step, but we're not at the full capacity of like where we need to with this offense. The offense last year was atrocious with Jackson Arnold. And of course, with Luttrell being an OC, which was, probably the worst decision and hire that we've had ever in the coordinator history, I think, in my opinion. But I think, if anything, it's somewhat of a step, but it's not exactly where we need to be at the end of the day, to where it should be, the offensive football that we need to be at right now.
We need a better. We need a better quarterback.
But that's why I say too that I don't think Mateer is it, because whether people want to say that it wasn't Mateer's fault for the game, unfortunately it was. We need to say that out loud. That one of the two very crucial things that what did not happen at Tuscaloosa and did happen here was he turned the ball over, and it was a back-breaking turnover, and that was the end of the game. Like, that was done. It was Mateer's fault for that. Now, people can say, well, he didn't see it and that it was the wide receiver.
I don't know.
That was bad.
Here's the thing. I don't know whose fault it was. It was a miscommunication somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I'll just blame Mateer because I don't really like Mateer anyway. So yeah, I'll blame him for that. That was bad. And yeah, I want a better quarterback. But right now the question is, can we get a better quarterback? If you can, you move on from Mateer. If you can't, well, you just kind of deal with it and hope skill positions help you next year. Getting away from running the ball was not something that should have happened. But It did, but it
But we
did.
also haven't been able to run the ball all year, though. And
No, we haven't.
look,
No, we haven't. That's fair.
and where I was circling back around to that is the reason why OU was able to succeed and get to 10 wins was because 2 out of your 3 units were great. The defense was very suffocating, and the special teams was fantastic. And offense, whether it was eating Timu glue or not, it did just enough to get one touchdown, maybe to an entire game, and it led from there. The problem is in this game, when the defense came out flat and your special teams had lots of special problems, you needed the offense to shoulder that, and they couldn't, unfortunately, because they haven't been able to do that all year. Whether now that's collectively as a whole, that's not on Mateer solely, but for this game specifically, yes, if you want to blame, I'm not, like I said, I'm not nearly as hard on the punter. I think they just get mental blocks at one point, and it just happened. This was the worst case scenario. But if you want to say that led to it, as well as the pick six, yeah, like both of those units failed. And I would say the defense failed as well because they weren't able to come up with any turnovers, and they failed to stop. I think it was 5 out of 7 drives where they scored.
Yeah,
you can't be having that. And unfortunately, they came out flat, and it was just one of those games where at some point you're going to lose. Unfortunately, it was one of these games with it that they had to. And again, I mean, now you get the questions with even the defense that I think the defense struggled because Bama just all but abandoned the run game and went past. And unfortunately, we do know from Venables in years past, even with his growth as a defensive coordinator at Clemson, the passing game has always been kind of an Achilles heels from him. And that's what they were killing us with all day for it. Kudos to the Bama guys for making plays. I'm not denying and taking that away from them. But
that was always that was always one of the downsides of a rematch. Is Bama did a good job. Bama deserved to win. We lost by 10, and a lot of it was just a lot of it was. I'd say half of it was mistakes we made. Half of it was just football gods weren't on our side, which is
and sometimes that's how the ball rolls at that point. I get that that's football, but then you get into now it's post game. OU is now 0-5 in playoff games. We are one of only 3 blue bloods that have yet to win a playoff game. And you know what the others have done? They won a national championship from it. Again, I was not expecting us to win this year. I expect us maybe to beat Bama.
Well, we've also
maybe lose to Indiana, but
we've also gotten some annoying draws. Even 2019 LSU was an annoying draw.
I get that, but as a whole, though, like if you take the 5 playoff games, we got Clemson the one year. We weren't going to beat Clemson that one year. Like it was great, but we were not prepared for that. Then you had Georgia. We threw up on ourselves in Georgia, which was a heartbreaking loss, and that should have never happened. A lot of that goes to the total defensive collapse and Lincoln taking that ball out of Baker's hand. 2018, you face Bama. Again, it's a bad draw, but you can't spot it. I think it was 21 points in the beginning. And you can't do that.
And not have 0 yards either in the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, that was... some of it is Lincoln Riley didn't have a defense, and you have to take that. Some of it is just we've gotten crappy draws with the SEC. I mean, Oregon, oh, wow, they got James Madison. That's nice. Ole Miss got Tulane. I mean, they deserve it. I mean, they're higher seeds, so they're going to get it. But that's part of it. We've gotten some of it. I mean, some of it's just we've gotten crappy draws. We do need to do better with it, but this is also, I'd say, the first playoff game of an actual defensive era. Like everything that happened before. Look, we just weren't going to win with the defenses we were putting out there. Those were Lincoln Riley defenses, and even the Big Ten. Look how Lincoln Riley defenses have worked out, and even the Pac. So, yeah, I would have liked to have won it. I think the 0-5 thing sucks, but at the same time, we're making it. So I'm not. We'll break it. We'll break it soon enough.
I get that, but you have to look at it from a larger picture of it's still 0-5, and
Yeah, but
we haven't made any significant progress since 2003. You're now starting to get into that fan apathy, Texas
yeah, but
A&M, Georgia
Josh,
levels of
Josh,
it.
Josh. I'm just gonna say though, I don't give it. I don't care. That was a different. I don't care. That was a that was a different coaching staff, a different thing. I understand. I understand what you're saying, but it's like
But you can't remove it though, man. Like that's the thing. That it's not going to go away just because you disagree with it. Like
But who
that's
can't
the
get?
fact is
Yeah, who cares?
is that Bob, a lot of fans, and it goes into a mentality thing of the coaching. Like at the end of the day, we can always say like this was a different coaching staff, this was a different time, but that still circles back to if we're talking about the here and now. If you're, we're to me, the big question always circles back to is then are we at a better position? And to preface, I'm not saying a fire a coach. That's not where I'm going with this. So bear with me. Are we in a better position than we
If
were
anybody
when
needs to
Lincoln
be
Riley?
removed, it's John Finley.
Well, hold on. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about are we in a better position than we were when Lincoln Riley was head coach? And I would say no. I think in some aspects, yeah. Hold on.
Mhm.
I think in some aspects, sure, the stability of the program, where you are on certain aspects, sure. I'm not talking about that. But are you closer to getting a national championship than you were with under Lincoln Riley? And you're not. You're at the same position. It's just you flip flop your units now. In order for Brent Venables to be successful, and I have come off the edge of fire Brent after the run with Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, things like that. But you're not anywhere closer because guess what? You're going to have a lot of turnover in this transfer portal, and you needed some of those key pieces to probably stay, and they're not. But excluding people who can't because of the NFL, whatever you want for that. You have to build the offense up, and unfortunately, if you're not going to spend for some of these players, which it seems like the administration has made it very clear, like they don't want to overspend. Which I think at this point you don't have the luxury for that anymore. Like you have to spend for some of these players. Well, they want 2 million. I think they're $1 million. It doesn't matter what you think anymore. Like I think for Brent to be successful,
that's what the market is. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be spending. I think you have some willing to negotiate, but I think that you're stuck otherwise if you're not doing that. I think Brent is nowhere near closer if you don't fix the offense. That I think just like where we say with like Mateer at this point. I think Mateer, if you stick with him to next year, you're getting the exact same result. I don't think there is any growth with Mateer at this point. I think he's plateaued. I know some people say there is growth. You should give him a year at least to get under the system, a year to get used to the SEC. I disagree with that. Dudes, he's a junior. Like, I'm sorry, this isn't something a day and night thing where it's you have no weapons around you, which he doesn't in a respect. I do get that our wide receivers are Jags. Like, I understand that component of it. I understand the O-line is young. But based on everything we've seen, just because he's getting healthier doesn't mean like he's a good quarterback. He's a turnover machine. He can't see the field. He panics when the line breaks down or things don't go according to plan. And he honestly keeps making a lot of excuses of I'm going to get better, and that doesn't translate to the field. It's not getting better. He's exactly what Washington State said he was. He's a guy when it's a team you're facing that you can confidently beat, say Michigan. He can take control of the game and make things happen. But the moment he faces some adversity, he panics, and we see he's not a good quarterback. And again, you can make some of these changes, but if you're still having him at the helm at this point, you're still going to have the exact same result going into next year. And I think it could be a 9-3 next year. I don't think they would make the playoff next year because I don't think this team's going to be ready to beat Georgia in week 4. And I don't really think this team is ready to beat Texas next year either. I think Texas has a edge at the moment until they figure stuff out. But again, that falls on Brent at some point of you got to make those decisions. And he didn't do it this year. And lo and behold, those deficiencies are the things that prevented us from winning a playoff game.
Well, but you said yourself, if the administration is not paying, you work with what you got. Now look here, and I agree, Mateer should not be the quarterback next year. Everything about the administration for me is going to be if Mateer is our best option at QB, then I'm putting that as a failure on the school. Well, not the school. That's a failure on the athletic department because you need to tamper with someone. You need to find someone who is better than Mateer. I'm not, hell, even if we do, I'll say this here, even just, I don't like DJ Langway. I don't think he would be the answer, but at the very least, I could feel some fire with DJ Langway, where it's like, because Mateer's not it. I will be clear on that. Mateer is a nice quarterback, and that's it. He is she's better than Jackson Arnold. He at times has flashes, but yeah, no. So I will agree with you on that. So it all depends what the administration wants to. It all depends what they're willing to spend. If they're not willing to spend to get I don't even like Dylan Raiola, but I'd be at least intrigued with that.
I don't know where he's going, but maybe Sam Levitt from Arizona State.
No,
I know his asking price is high, but again, I 100%
we need a quarterback.
I get it.
We need a quarterback. We need a quarterback.
You do it, and even if it's a year, I would, or even I agree with Austin. And the side note, happy birthday, Austin! I hope you are having a wonderful Sunday. I agree. Maybe Josh, you got to get someone who's better at this point. And again, if we had the choice of you get one quarterback and kind of stick with what you got, or you can get wide receivers, tight end, some running backs, and you stick with Mateer, I would obviously go the later because then you're giving him some weapons that does give some breathing room, and it lets you do more stuff while the O-line still grows. But if you're not getting those, you got to get a better quarterback who can shoulder a little bit more at this point. Because again, I think all the complaints I had about Dylan Gabriel, even keeping in mind of like, yeah, this is the first year he's got to get, that is Mateer. And I don't see growth from Mateer at this point. I see a lot of regression.
Dylan's better than Mateer.
1,000%. 1,000%. I think I'm seeing kind of the same level of regression from Mateer that we saw in, I think, Landry Jones' final year. Yeah. Where it's just, he is just not it. I would even go as far to say, like, he'd be a second string at this point, like, for this team. Like, if there was somebody else with at least more talent than him, I think the thumb excuse only goes so far and everything, too. And maybe that's it. Maybe everything did change when the thumb broke, and we just have bad luck at that point. But
Mateer had Mateer played well enough. We could have won. He didn't play well, and I understand. I understand that's splitting hairs. And that Mateer Mateer played well. Basically, Mateer played well enough. We could have won with that if things had gone right. It didn't, so he had to play better. So he didn't play well enough to win. He played well enough to maybe win. So that's so that's where I am on that. Look, if you're healthy enough to go out there, I'm going to criticize you. I don't really care. The game on Friday was his chance to prove. Was his chance to prove, because at that point, if we beat Alabama, people, we would have cared about Indiana. Don't get me wrong, but it would have been okay. We at least beat a solid SEC team in Bama. Team went to the SEC champ game. We did a good. We did a good job. We would have done a good job. You take it, and then I'm feeling that maybe the thumb heals. Maybe that's it. But he had 3 weeks to heal. He didn't look great against LSU. He didn't look great against me. Mateer is who Mateer is. So I want another quarterback, I think, at this point, because my entire thing about it was get a better, if you're going to get rid of Mateer, at least make sure you get a better quarterback than Mateer. And I wasn't sure, but at this point, I'm also like, I'd rather risk. I'm at the point where I want to risk going after DJ Langway, which sounds. I know Florida people will call me crazy, but that's how low I am. But that's how low I am on Mateer coming back.
I just don't think he can lead the team.
I don't think Mateer's bad. I don't think Mateer's better. If we have to pay Dylan, maybe that's just Nebraska on him. Maybe that's that.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe Langley was just Florida has been in bad coaching positions. So I'm at the point where if you can get someone who's or you love it even. I'm at that point where if there's someone we can get, I would rather take that risk than risk another year with Mateer because you know what, I'll say it. If you want me to be checked out, Mateer being our quarterback next year is what would check me out. Because because we would still have a nice season. It would still be a good season. It wouldn't be terrible. But it just puts a big cap on any aspirations. So
yeah. Well, one thing to note while I'm thinking of it, Gavin, you know how you said earlier about how this game kind of encapsulated like the entire season. I think in a bigger picture too, this also, considering this was Joe C's last game as well, I think it kind of encapsulated Joe C's tenure as an AD as well. Like, he got the program stable, he got some nice wins and stuff, but when it really mattered, we just could not get over the hump with the to the Natty. Now, I know that is more administrative side of it, but there is points where he would not take the actual action as a AD to ensure that not that the program was healthy, but like to make the program move forward, such as firing Mike Stoops. I think this is one of those where I want to circle now to the season's over. Again, we will recap the season in another video and another live stream, but that goes into the, okay, last night was very apparent on where we are deficient, where like, yes, Brent fixed the defense, and now we have to do that with the offense. We've got it started, but you're going to need a lot of help. And that kind of starts with the entire offensive side of the ball. You're going to have to make coaching changes to effectively get to that point where Brent is set up to succeed at that point, where even I go, it's not, if Brent's not willing to make the move, then he's never going to succeed. But you still got to get rid of some coaches. I think number one that we can all agree with is that Joe John Finley is a waste of space and he needs to go.
Yeah.
At some point, it's what dirt does Joe have on Brent? It doesn't matter anymore. Let him go. The tight end room has been absolutely atrocious and has been a non-factor in anything that has gone on over the past several years with him. He hasn't produced. He can't recruit. The only notable thing was when he had to fill in for Seth as like OC. And even then, you already had a lot of game scripts and stuff. It's time to cut the slack. It's time to let him go.
The only noticeable thing about Joe John Finley is that I remember him from my freshman year, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're not wrong, though.
I mean, you know what?
I mean, he was like a second string tight end mostly. So I mean, he wasn't really noticeable, if anything.
What's Jermaine Gresham doing right now?
I have no idea.
He's retired.
He's retired. I know he's retired, but like, is Jermaine coaching anywhere? I mean, might as well, if we're gonna do it, give Gresham a chance. At least he actually accomplished stuff with the Sooners.
Yeah, I mean, give him a shot or anything like that. I don't disagree.
Sorry.
I mean, that's the closest you're getting at this point with coaching and everything, getting to upgrade. Like, that's how bad it is. It's like, go get someone who's at least done something, like at least someone who's done something in the NFL who was respect. Like, Joe John's not it, and it showed. Like, we need pass blocking, we need run blocking when the O-line is having problems, and you gotta get Joe John. You got to get rid of him. Like, who do we go get? It doesn't matter. A rock on the side of the street is going to be better than Joe John. It is. And there is no if and or but. And to me, that's where I will circle back to. If Brent's not willing to make the decision, he's not going to succeed at that point. I think the next coach on it who has to be on the chopping block is DeMarco. DeMarco has run the running back room horribly. And I think the most successful running back in there this entire time is Eric Gray. And I don't think he's done anything even in the NFL at all. Like, I think he had an injury, don't get me wrong, but I don't think even he's done anything. It's just kind of been there as well. Like, any of his running backs that were there, they've gone on somewhere else, like Trey Sermon, and actually did something. DeMarco's just not a good coach. Like, he may have been a great NFL player. He may have been a great college player. That did not translate to him being a great coach. You got to do something with the running back room. It is terrible how bad the running back room is at this point.
It's not good.
No, it's not good. It's terrible.
No, it's not.
No, it's yeah. So I agree. Changes need to be made, and we'll see. We'll see.
Well,
we'll see
there's more. There's more. I don't think it's something this year. I think it's something next year, though, for it. And I do believe Beatenbow is on the hot seat officially for that. I know we talked about, well, whether he is or isn't and stuff. The O-line's not producing either. And at some point, it's next year seems to be the time of you've brought guys in, you've had time to develop. If they're not it's time to let him go at this point. And I always go with the rule of thumb of if you've been in coaching 10 years, you've been in it too long, it's time for you to bring some fresh blood in at this point. Unless they're like rock stars like Nick Saban, who's a generational talent. Yeah. Both hasn't been producing, and I'm even siding with it's time to get somebody else. My fourth one still is even Emmett. I think Emmett Jones should be looked at for next year because even the wide receiver room, it did nothing. It did nothing to help. It did not take that next step. And that the injury excuse you could use for last year, you can't use that for this year. And they didn't do anything. They were not good either. And then, to me, it circles back to as well, like, I would not get rid of him because he's only had 1 year. And I think you do need some time to install your system. But even for me, I wasn't sold on Arbuckle this year. There was some very big head scratching. Like, are you sure you're right for this position? Are you sure that
it's a chicken and the egg kind? It's chicken and the egg kind of thing. Is Arbuckle right for the position, or the players holding it, or have the players held some stuff back? Because to mildly defend Arbuckle, which you said yourself. We couldn't do anything running the ball, and we had a lot, and there were some bad drops. So I don't know how it is with Arbuckle. I would, like I said, he definitely. He's not going anywhere. It's. I want to see another year out of him before I make any decisions. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying on that.
Yeah, and again, I want to stress with Arbuckle, I wouldn't get rid of him this year. I do think long term, he's not the guy. I was not impressed with him this year. And I'm not expecting someone to be like a Mad Hatter, like genius, but there was so many questionable things. Like, I don't know what you're thinking, my man. And some of it could be down to the talent. It could be down to like, this is not good talent. And he is limited. One of the things, here's an example. One of the things that drove me nuts was like, we're going to roll out with a offensive scheme and have a tight end blocking. Why are we having a tight end blocking when we know it doesn't work? Like, how many games does this have to happen before it goes like, this isn't going to work ever this year? Why are we rolling a tight end out at this point? Kanik was serviceable. I think he did impress people more than a lot of people gave him credit for. But even then, it's like, some of these schemes make no sense. Or when we're choosing to run or when we're choosing to pass, like, it maddens me. But again, I'm willing to give another year because I do want to see like what he has when he has actual talent on that side of the ball, and just not just hopes, prayers, used up bubble gum, a half chewed paper clip, and some string. Yeah. Like, I'm willing to do that. I think I'm less impressed that how it did seem a lot this year, like how not on the same page him and Mateer were at all. Like, it did seem like they were very much on different pages, and I don't know what that is for that, but that still falls back to the things I'm not impressed with Arbuckle, even though I'm saying not to get rid of him this year at this point. Now, the other one that mentioned, and this has been making the round, so I think it's safe to say, supposedly, and I think it was mentioned on Scoop, the other coach, it looks like Smitty is retiring. We're going to have to go get a new strength and conditioning coach, which honestly, I'm okay with that. I don't know if it's conspiracy theory, and this is something that's going to be a hindsight is 2020. I think he works the players too hard. The O-line was never fully healed, and I do think that did reflect on game days. I'm not saying go get Benny Wiley, like go in that extreme opposite direction, but I do think you got to get someone who is nowhere near, like you got to get someone who's tough, but nowhere near like these guys are coming tired on game days. Like, I don't think we get to that point. I do think that has been a crutch for fun, and I think fresh blood would help. I think it's the same thing of DeMarco's known to be a genuine hard ass. I do think that having someone, if you get a running back coach who gets it a little bit more, I think you're going to have more player buy-in at that point. But I need to get my charger. But Gavin, Swiggy, what do you think about the coaching changes? Like, who do you think? Like, obviously, no one on the defensive side is going to go. Like, let's make that clear.
No,
no one on the defense. But what about offense?
Yeah, you go first, Gavin. You go first.
Okay, so we're just going to go into agreement with Joe John Finley. He's got to go. I'm just going to, we're all in agreement on that. So there's going to be no denying about that. DeMarco Murray, like I said, running back issues and stuff like that. I just, been having a hard time seeing that. But then it's also like with the offensive line. The only thing is that, we've already got some like offensive linemen, it's like some really good offensive linemen that are basically being recruited are also coming in as well. Even though there's been like a good track record and all that with the offensive line, it's just been a weird crop cycle of anything. So it's like if anything, Beanbo, I think is kind of a little bit more on the downside of anything. I haven't really been impressed with the wide receiving group, if anything. So, and honestly, it's like, and I hate saying this, but it's like we have it's like the way that we're going after wide receivers, we're kind of going with these Hollywood Browns instead of getting like the Cam Colemans of the world. These tall physical receivers, which have really been hurting us for the most part, because that's something we need is a little bit more of the physicality within the receivers. And I really feel like, if anything, that is kind of, I think, more of the higher end on those issues. Of anything, I mean, we can't just have these receivers that are 5 foot nothing and just all speed. We really need some tall physical receivers to be able to, play against more than anything. Because it's like we just can't rely just with the speed on the receivers alone.
No, sorry, Gavin. I'm not laughing at you. Mark Andrews just tried a lateral, or I think and it was either a forward pass or was intercepted by the Patriots. So bad night for Mark Andrews. Let's do that. Let's get Mark. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get Mark Andrews. Let's make Mark Andrews retire and make him our tight end coach.
Got the money in the bag for that, Josh?
No, I don't. I do not. I do. I think we have to have guys that actually like commit to like the role and stuff. Like even the guys that came in and served this year, like Burks, I would say for all intents and purposes was a bust. Jaden Gibson, it feels like he was either like high risk. I feel like Satania was our only guy who actually did something, and it was the wheel of Satania.
Almost played like Hollywood Brown, honestly, at times too, which I think was even scarier.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, it was the wheel of Satania of what he was going to do. Like, is he gonna have a big play? Is he going to what's it called? Have a bust? Is he gonna fumble the ball? Like, he was very much a high risk, high reward player at this point. So I just generally think if you take a look at the guys we went into the transfer portal last year, was Nick Anderson, Jacquees Paidaway, Andrell Anthony, and Brennan Thomas. I do think out of all the ones that did transfer, I do think we missed Farouk the most. I think Farouk did some like great things for for Maryland. And I do think if he was on the field, that would have really helped us out a little bit more and given us some breathing room at this point. Obviously, Nick Anderson did absolutely nothing at LSU. He was just a bust at LSU. Andrell Anthony really didn't do anything at Duke. I mean, he only had 26 receptions versus Farouk, who had 58 this year. Petaway, you know how many he had? He had a whopping 13 at Mississippi State. And then Brennan Thompson, or I'm sorry, I said Mississippi State. He East Carolina. And then same thing with Brennan Thompson. He had only 20, he had 53 yards reception for it, but it was also in the ACC. So it's like, really, like I said, Farouk, I think we missed the most, but even then, look at the wide receivers. I don't think too much was going to change, but you still need to have some people there at this point. So, yeah. But anyway, Gavin, you said, so Joe John out, DeMarco, what are your feelings on Beatenbow right now?
Beatenbow, I think he's a little bit on the hot seat because, if anything, because there hasn't been a whole lot, but you also have a bunch of really good recruits that are going to be coming in on that offensive line that are coming in. So I'm kind of wanting to basically say I want to just give it another year right now, just with Beatenbow. But if it doesn't produce, that's when I'm basically think we need to make the change. I would still probably give another year.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
I pretty much. I mean, I agree with it. Joe John should be gone. I wouldn't mind if they fired DeMarco, fine. As long as you don't go like wimpy on strength and conditioning, that's fine. I honestly don't care because like we talked, I honestly don't care. I mean, coaching staffs matter. Talent wins out a lot. It's just
and that's why I'm not nearly as hard on Arbuckle.
Yeah,
is like at some point some of the schemes were fine. At some point, your players got to make the plays, and to me, Xavier Robinson dropping the ball, I'm not nearly as hard on him on that one. Versus the wide receivers who can't get open or aren't holding on to the ball like Jaden Gibson. That's on Emmett Jones. Like, why are you not teaching them better? Whatever you want to say. Like, you can't be dropping stuff. Like that's.
To be fair, you can try and teach that, but it for some people will just never take. It doesn't.
I know that's you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. I do understand that.
That said, it's like my official position on position coaches comes down to pretty much how I always feel about them. Josh, who was Ohio State's offensive line coach last year?
I couldn't tell you because I don't really pay attention to Ohio State.
But that's my point. It's that as much as we talk about position coaches, and I do think OU needs fresh blood with them. It's like it either works or doesn't. And I have no, it's like I have no. I mean, if you ask me about position coaches, I got no problem moving on from any position coach. Pretty much, it's I give Bill another year, but even then, it's like I'm not really married to any position coaches. Position coaches are who they are. They're good ones. Don't get me wrong, they're good ones, but I mean, it matters the kind of players you recruit.
Yeah.
And that matters more to me than coaching. And right now, the offense has had problems. So I don't know. Maybe they can. I don't know. Maybe they impress. I don't know. Maybe things change. Maybe they don't. Kind of just. That's just where I am on the coaches. So.
Well, and something to add is if I had to go in an order, I think Joe John and DeMarco have to get kicked to the curb. I think you have to make coaching changes to make this successful. I think if I had to pick a coach who's next, I think Emmett Jones is next. I do think wide receivers are not where they need to be. he may be a good recruiter, but I don't think he's developing the players where they need to. At least with Bill, you are at least getting in some of the players at this point, and maybe it's where it needs to be at, and it's finally maybe has recovered from where it was a couple years back, and that's why you give him this other year. But I do think Emmett is close as well for that, and yeah, I think you have to make some staff turnover. I think if you keep them, it says a lot that Brent also is not willing to make the choice. Now, I get also people saying like, well, who do you go get at this point? Well,
Who
that's why you throw
cares?
money.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I mean, I'll say this about. So yeah, I will say that. That's why I'm. Unless I know the situation, it's like, it's like I mean, like Judge and DeMarco need to be gone, and you just find someone because they're tight end, they're running back coaches. You can find them. You shouldn't have to throw. Here's the thing: if the school refuse, like if it comes down to, I mean, if it comes down to Brent wants these guys gone, but the school is refusing to throw money, that's a much bigger problem.
I agree.
That's a different kind of problem that we need to talk about. So hopefully, I agree with you. Hopefully a weekend is taken or whatever, and we see DeMarco and Joe John are gone, and pretty much. Pretty much where I am, and everything else I'm kind of like, I mean, I'm fine with everything else. So, and as always, we're gonna lose some guys to the portal. That happens. You just be ready for it. Just always be ready because you just never know. You just never know what's going on with guys. So.
Yeah. I mean, we've already lost McKinsey and everything already into the portal and everything.
Yep.
So.
And but before we jump into that, because that's what was going to be next on topic at this point, I do want to mention to everybody, hey guys, I just want to let you know that we have hit 150 out of $1,000 for Extra Life. If you feel generous for it, Extra Life is a organization I partner with to raise money for the Children's Hospital of Oklahoma. I will put the link in the chat, and all of the proceeds go towards directly to the hospital. Again, I'm kind of just the spokesperson, but we are only $50 off from our second milestone at this point. And we've done a great job over the past month raising money, but I want to see how much more we can get over the next essentially 10 days. So guys, what I would be a goal is if you're you have the money for it, if you can donate $10, that's how many wins we have this season. That goes towards the milestone, and again goes directly towards the Children's Hospital. Now, circling back around to that's where I was going to go next, Gavin, is obviously the next thing with the season over, you're going to have the transfer portal open at this point. We already know for a fact Jaden Gibson, we know Kobe McKenzie, and there was a third one. Who's the third one? That is also going to go into the transfer portal. I do think we will have more. Dolby. That was it. Dolby.
Dolby, yeah.
I think we all expected Gibson. I think it's disappointing that we're going to lose out on Dolby, even though there's people in front of him. I think we're a little shocked of Kobe, though. I think we expected him to be back or even to be in the NFL.
That
does make the linebacker room kind of scary thin, and now you're having to go into the portal to get some linebackers just for some depth at this point. I would say, like, thinking of who else would be going to the portal at this point, I think Michael Hawkins, I think it's all but confirmed, like he's going to be in the portal.
Yeah.
He doesn't have even with Mateer transferring out, there is no place for him at Oklahoma at this point. He's just not a dude. I think Jake Taylor and Jacob Sexton, they're also going to be out at this point. Like, you've been injured all year. You're non-contributors. You can't make it onto the field. It's time to cut some of the slack. They need to go somewhere else and let someone else take a risk on them. I'm trying to think who else. I think we're going to have some rotations with the wide receiver room and stuff as well. But it's just going to be a wait and see at this point. We do have when you look at the depth chart and everything as well, like obviously wide receivers, Giovanni Gibson's out. I do think I will be curious if we keep Lewis. And then there's some guys like behind. Deion Burks, he's going to be graduating. I think I don't know how I feel about Carter at the moment. He might be. And then again, a lot of these guys are behind. Satania, I think he goes to the NFL. I think Jacob Jordan stays for it. Obviously, Michael Fasusi stays. Logan Highland stays. Eddie Pierre-Louis stays. Heath stays. Fabechi
Yeah.
stays. Foj. I think you just start getting into the guys who just weren't able to get on the field or just like injured, such as Jake Taylor.
Yeah.
I would say the other one maybe Dent at this point. Like he just couldn't make it onto the field. And then you just kind of have to wait and see. I didn't realize that Lewis is gone. Lewis is a senior, so he'd be gone at this point.
Yeah, Lewis. Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah. Lewis is gone, and of course, we're still kind of waiting on the whole. I don't know what the issue with Heineke is and everything. If the NCAA is even going to do anything or not. Basically, with the eligibility issues, which that's another thing entirely.
I'm just going to assume it's going to work itself out because at this point the NCAA is pretty much.
If they say no, I would sue. Just sue them.
Exactly. I'm not saying players are getting what they want from the NCAA almost freely, but at this point, it's like, yeah, just at this point, yeah, I try it. I mean, I don't know. It's I mean, just for everyone listening. I'm going to echo what Sean says.
It'll work itself out. Don't get me wrong.
Take a deep breath. It'll work itself out. Some of these guys are transferring who either weren't going to see the field. As long as like our big guys aren't transferring, it's fine. It's fine. It's
I think
obviously you don't want to lose depth, but that's it cuts both ways. So
yeah, and I think your area of need definitely for sure is running back. Like you have to get running back and tight end. Those are your absolute number ones, which also is why I think Joe John Finley has to get kicked out. Because when you can't even get the Oklahoma State transfer in, unless he was just hell bent on hating OU, like you can't even keep the in-state talent. Like you need to go at this point. I think running back is going to be. I think linebackers now you have to look at and O-line, and I would even say quarterback. I think you have to be open. I'm not going to put quarterback at the very top because you have other needs and other priorities. But you need wide receivers, you need running backs, and you need O-line and now D-line. If we have to be stuck with Mateer, there is much worse options, but you do need to start looking at. You have to look at the other stuff first, though.
Future Oklahoma State starting quarterback. Oh, let's just say, let's go Rocco from Iowa State.
Sure.
Let's go Rocco from Iowa State. They're intriguing guys in the portal. Obviously, I think
there is.
I think Levitt, Lagway. I've been calling him Langway tonight. So.
I would say like the one receiver that I think kind of popped up on my head was Leland Smith over at San Jose State, who got like nearly 700 yards this season. Which even granted it's San Jose State and everything, but somebody to keep.
I was gonna say I will be that guy. I want to see what opponents he's played and what he's done, because I will say it, like I don't want stuff from G5s anymore or FCSs. Like, get me something from a Power 4. Like, I will 1000% be that person for that. I understand there is diamonds in the rough. I understand, but that cannot be a priority for it. You gotta go get some better people. You gotta get some, and I'm not even saying get like 5 guys with 5-star hearts that are 3 stars, but yeah, I would not be looking at FCS or G6s and all that. I don't think that's worth the time unless you know for sure, like, hey, they were just a mislooked individual at this point.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is it's like trying to figure that. Oh, I forgot. There's Antoine Hill, who's basically for the Memphis quarterbacks, also in the portal as well.
Oh, there are a lot of intriguing quarterbacks in the portal. It's it's the same as every year. That's why I'm kind of like, that's why I'm kind of like, that's why I'm kind of, like I said on Friday night, I was, maybe give Mateer another year this year. At this point, you know what? There's the portal. Let's go get some. Let's go at least let's go get someone. Like even if you like go and get Levitt. If Levitt doesn't work, then okay, fine. Then obviously we have much bigger issues here. But at least you went and got at least you went and got a quarterback with a history of success. Like be Oregon. I mean, even it's like I mean Oregon. That's what Oregon's done, and okay, it
Yeah.
hasn't worked out. It hasn't worked out perfectly for them, but at the but at the very least they go and try and get the top. They try and get a top quarterback every year instead of I don't know who's someone who I would hate. Rocco. Screw it. I'll say it. I hate Rocco. I hate Rocco. I was only joking about that
Yeah.
one. Or the Missouri quarterback Prebula. I wouldn't be
Sure.
I
Sure.
wouldn't be against him, but if you're just replacing Mateer with him, it's kind of one of those. Well, these deck chairs on the Titanic look really good. Let's adjust them.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the chat brought up Nico Brown from wide receiver from Yale. Maybe, I mean, he's only 6 foot. Like, I'd want someone taller, but I don't know what
Yeah.
I will be honest, I have not delved super far into the transfer portal. I only know of like some of the guys that are confirmed for us. Some of them that are just like who I suspect, like it kind of seems obvious they've all but not like put their name in. And then like what our needs are and everything at this point. Um it's gonna I expect probably same thing what we usually do 5 to 15 like or 15 to 25 transfers out, and we'll just have to see who we bring in. But like we mentioned earlier in the chat, like they can't go cheap on it. They have to commit to it. Like they don't
No,
get that luxury anymore. And I hope
no,
whoever the next
no.
AD that comes in understands that. Like you got to make some movement. So one thing I do want to talk about though is the rest of the playoff games and everything like that. So, you had the primetime one on Friday, and then we had 3 on Saturday. And I think for the be brief on Oregon and be brief on Ole Miss, it went exactly as everybody thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
Ole Miss throttled Tulane and has a rematch against Georgia, and Oregon destroyed James Madison. They were never in danger. The score doesn't reflect it. Like I know Oregon people are upset that James Madison put 35 on them. It doesn't matter, guys. Like
I mean,
y'all were
No.
never in danger.
No.
it'll piss off Dan Lanning, which
Sure, but
if there's one thing I'll say, that's if there's one thing I will say about that, that's always been like the one fear of Oregon is that they're that's Oregon's thing. They're a little soft on defense. I'm not now. It doesn't really. Now, truly, it doesn't really matter because no, they were never in any danger, and it's super easy once you go up like 34-6 to just kind of go through the motions with it. But that's Oregon's Achilles heel. That's the one little bit of fear I have for them. But but we'll see. They, but we'll see. They have about 10 days to refocus.
yep. And then of course we had the defensive air quote slugfest between Texas A&M and Miami, which boiled down to I think everybody said like the moment that Texas A&M faced anybody with a pulse, they were going to lose, and that's kind of what happened. Like
Okay.
it was windy there, and I give them a lot of like, yeah, it was messing with both teams. Miami just was the better team, and I think A&M has a solid bunch, but
To be
they're
fair,
kind of like where we're at the moment.
to be fair, the refs missed a horrible targeting call at the end of that game.
I don't remember that one. Who was that for?
It was the play right before the interception where at least I felt that should have been targeting where where it's like it looked like he had the touchdown and then the guy concussed himself because he tried to take out A&M's wide receiver. So I thought that should have been targeting. No one else brought it up, but whatever. It's whatever. I mean, they still had a chance to win, and don't
Yeah.
throw an interception. I mean, yeah, the games pretty much went as if there's one thing the NCAA, it's like if there's one thing the NCAA was smart about, it was, oh, the NFL's going up against us. Let's put Tulane up against the NFL. Tulane, let's hide Tulane, Ole Miss, and James Madison Oregon there. I know I know the truly sickos are the people who cover college football watched it, but I think most people were watching Packers Bears at that point. So.
Yeah, especially because of Caleb Williams with that game-winning touchdown. Like, yes, they were probably watching. Again, though, it went exactly as people thought. It was not would James Madison and Tulane win. It was, okay, how long is it going to take before the game was over? For Tulane, it was like 14 seconds. Like, it was already done. There was nothing Tulane was going to do. For James Madison, they hung around for a tiny bit until the second quarter. And then it was done. Like, there was nothing Oregon. If Oregon had to turn up the heat, they would have. And I don't blame.
Definitely.
I am very much in the disagreement that, well, this is why the G5 shouldn't be in. No, like, guys, you have to have the G5 in because it's an antitrust unless the G5 move to a playoff of their own. Or you just split off the Big Ten and the SEC at that point. Like, they're going to be in there. And it just – who's going to get the lucky draw of getting the little G5 team? Because I think we're too stuck on the ideas of the Boise States, the Tulanes, having these Cinderella runs when it's like they can get up for one game, guys. They don't have the capabilities for
yes, that's why we should mock the ACC. But yeah, I mean, everything went as expected. Miami won, so they get the reward of playing Ohio State. Which I'll say this: if Miami beats Ohio, this is not even my Ohio State homer talking. If this is like my analysis. If Miami beats Ohio State, then goddamn, man, then Miami might actually have something going there because I'll be shocked if that happens. Now, as of today, now it's like saying could get in a car accident or something, and that would change my opinion. But
sure,
unless something drastic happens, I don't see it. That game will be 6:30 Central New Year's Eve, and then our New Year's Day slate is 11 Oregon Tech.
Oregon's going to win. I know they have Tech favored Oregon.
That intrigues me. I think I'm going Oregon over Tech because I don't think Tech is as good as any. I don't think Tech's is good, but I'm at least a little intrigued by Tech just because Oregon's defense did take the gas off the pedal with James Madison. Now that also might be of course, if you're pro Oregon, Dan Lanning's not going to have that happen again against Tech. And
correct.
Oregon should win, but I do think there's if you want something for Tech, there's a little sliver of hope. 3:00, we have Alabama, Indiana. Josh, I know you and I disagree on this one.
I think Indiana's going to win on this one.
I think Bama. I don't trust Indiana. I don't trust them.
I don't know at this point because
I agree. Yeah.
Bama struggles against quarterbacks like Mendoza, and then again, I don't see Indiana having their way with Alabama at this point. But I also think Bama has to have a run game, and I don't trust them not having their run game to beat Indiana at that point. But then again, at this point, I've been wrong on a lot of my picks this year. Most likely Bama's going to win because lo and behold, watch Bama win it all again. And that would
I don't think Bama's going to win it all, but that'd be funny.
I don't either, but
that'd be funny.
It
would be funny. It'd be funny. I'd laugh at least.
I'd be pissed.
And then the nightcap. Go on, Gavin. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I kind of am probably gonna be a little bit of a slight. Oh man, it's like this is such a toss up for me. I would probably give a slight edge to Indiana at this point. I just really, really have a hard time seeing Bama continuing forward and everything because it's like yeah, I just have a hard time seeing like staying consistent against
Yeah,
really good
yeah.
tough quality teams right now, and that's kind of been the issue that I have. Indiana, despite the history of it just being Indiana first off and everything. To have
Yeah,
the turnaround that they've had and everything,
yeah.
it's just a little bit surprising, if anything. I would not. I think they're going to say, "Oh, that's just Indiana and all that," or anything. No, this is not the same Indiana team that we've seen in years past. So I kind of look at this to where I think Indiana might pull the win off. Honestly.
I could definitely see it, but
Yeah,
Bama's had periods where they've been flat, and our nightcap Lane Kiffinless Ole Miss versus Kirby. How smart is he? Georgia.
Georgia. Give me
And
Georgia.
that's another rematch. And here's the thing. And just I'm sorry to interrupt here real quick. Just another rare occurrence. We have another rematch. I mean, look, we had OU. This is like I think the third rematch I
Yeah,
think
so
we've
it
had
was
so
a
far
third
this playoff.
rematch. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we've had what we had Bama and OU, we've had Tulane, Ole Miss, and now Ole Miss and Georgia, basically having three rematches already in the playoff.
Well, if you have a lot of
Which
SEC teams, it's going to happen.
no,
So.
I mean I understand that with it being all SEC teams.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
understand that, but it's just like it just kind of was just one of those things where it was like okay, kind of the one of those rare instances. But I kind of want to give the edge right now to Georgia. Honestly, I here's the thing, like. Besides the whole Lane Kiffin stuff and everything, even though both offenses, are what they have, I still trust Kirby in the defense more than anything. Even if the
Oh,
defense has been slightly down, I
oh
still
yeah.
trust Kirby with the defense.
I think it's going to be if I remember the bracket correctly, I think it's going to be Ohio State Georgia national championship.
Well, no, that's not how the
Is that
bracket
on
will
the
go.
same bracket?
That'd be the
Yeah.
semifinal. That's why it's like, that's why it's like if you're Bama, I was saying it. I was saying it about Bama. If you're Bama, you get past
Sorry,
Oklahoma.
yeah, it would be Oregon, Ohio State, and I think
Yeah,
Ohio State's going to beat them again.
yeah, exactly. It's like that's why I'm like, if that's why I was like, if you're Bama, if you don't respect Indiana, then then you get Oregon or Tech. That's doable. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I think on the semifinal we're getting another Ohio State Georgia, and whoever wins that is going to win the national championship. But hey,
I
I could be
agree.
wrong. I could be underselling Indiana, and we could be looking at our first Hoosier national championship, which would be chaotic and funny, and it would give me another reason to blame Ryan Day for stuff. So that's Ryan Day's America for you. Uh, well, we'll see though.
I,
We'll see.
yeah,
We
but Ryan
have
Day's won a Ryan Day has won a national championship, so like you
Ryan
don't get to use that excuse this year for it. He beat
Ryan Day's
Michigan
also
and
Ryan Ryan Day's also lost to Michigan previously and let Indiana win the Big Ten. That is Ryan Day's America for you, Josh. I don't want to. What am I supposed to tell my kids? But you know how heartbroken my fake children were when I told them that Indiana won won the Big Ten. They moved out. They left. My kids don't talk to me anymore because of that. I Uh, we'll see. We'll see.
I think it's just kind of funny
sure
because
what it is.
because like Kurt, I was just gonna say, Kurt, with Kurt and everything being the head coach, basically, a lot of people don't realize about where he got his
Sure.
connection with Nick Saban and everything. Then, of course, started off with James Madison, who actually made it to the playoff and everything else, so too, kind of became a powerhouse. Then getting hired at Indiana and then starting to turn things around in there and everything, too. So, Indiana's kind of was able to kind of go through hoops. And I'm kind of laughing about this, and I know this is somewhat off topic, but they even did like a whole 60 minutes interview with him on CBS and everything, which was like, I think was kind of intriguing about how they went from basically the worst team and all that and everything to now where they're the number one team in the country. And just like what, a turnaround of what, 2 seasons or 3 seasons now with him at the helm?
I
I
think
don't know how
to
to be able to describe that.
It's yeah. I mean, that's I mean, it's,
I think it's like what, 2, 3 seasons.
I
two or
think it's
three.
third season, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that
3 you think, yeah, 3 years, but
no,
but the point still stands though. At least it's just like, I mean, if Indiana's able to find a way to turn around within football and everything else though too, that really tells you more than anything.
I was trying to
I
find.
well, see, obvious. Well, this is the obvious thing that's happened. Pre NIL, Indiana was the only team following the rules about paying players. Now, then once it became illegal, that was the only thing holding them back.
Yeah, I was trying to answer your question, Jimmy. I was trying to find, just as a side note from the chat, I was trying to find it, but I think they're trying to take anywhere from like 15 to 20 players for the transfer portal. They want a lot and they have to go heavier this year because of what they need for the O line and what they need for wide receivers. I think they're going to need at least, and you're going to have to find a backup quarterback most likely, at minimum 10, upwards to 15 to like 20, in my opinion. It depends on who else transfers out and what all it becomes available at this point. I'm trying to see what I'm trying to find is last year's who all came in and they based it off that, but I would assume double digits for sure.
Yeah.
For it. I don't know though what the budget is, what they're looking for to pay. That is kind of a to be seen at this point. Let me see. I'm gonna see who, if I can find. Here we go. 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We took 22 in the class last year for 2025 at this point. So I would say that they would be taking probably roughly the same amount at this point. Again, with the focus on O-line, definitely wide receiver, and definitely running back for it. If we get some quarterback and stuff and some D linemen, I think that'd be a benefit. But remember, this class also had people coming in such as Mateer. He did come in, Javani Gibson, Satania, and Tate Sandell at that point. So like I said, I think anywhere from 15 to 20. And again, if more people transfer out, we'll have more. If we have more transfers out, that opens up more spots. House Money Pro, to answer your question, Swiggy and I both say yes. We do think it's his time to go. It just did not last here. I do agree with he needs to battle for the spot. I disagree with the other people, and not specifically in this chat or Swiggy or Gavin. I think specifically he's plateaued, and I don't see him getting any better. I do think, like, does he heal and get his thumb probably healed up by next year? Sure. Does his knee and stuff get fixed up? Sure. But I think it's not that. I think it's all mental. I do think it's like, how can you fix by this point someone who's going to be a senior who panics in the pocket when the pocket collapses, or when the when someone's not open at this point and he's indecisive? How do you 1 second, how do you fix something basically within a year or even an off season when he can't see receivers? How do you fix when so it's overseeing turnovers? That's not something to me that you fix, and I don't trust that process. And again, as I said with Brent, prove me wrong, Mateer. I think the average, though, is that's not something that you fix. That's already habits at that point, and that's not something that's going to be fixed. Unless you change the system where it's less. You're not going to get interceptions if you're going to be running the ball more, essentially. I do agree with you. I think here's my wishes, and here's my expectations, the reality. My wish is they bring a quarterback in, and I think you spend some good money to get a better quarterback. I think there are going to be some transfers out, and nobody I'm thinking of with it, so don't misconstrue it. Don't think I have insider knowledge. I don't. I think there's going to be some surprise transfers out that did benefit Mateer, and you do need to have some safety nets in, and I think a better quarterback who can handle situations better would be great. I'm not saying him leave the team because he's not obviously going in the NFL. He wouldn't get drafted at this point. He'd be a great backup, but I don't think he's a starter for this team. My reality is I think they're going to stick with Mateer and go use the money to get the spots we need, such as tight end, wide receiver, running back, O-line, D-line, probably in that order. That's my thought for it. I don't think Mateer is the right quarterback, but I also don't think they're going to be searching for somebody else reality for it, unless internally they are willing to open the checkbook up a little bit more at this point. I think by that point, though, we're kind of stuck, and it's just going to be the same result again. At this point.
Yeah. I mean, certain guys are. Look,
he's an air raid quarterback. Of course,
certain guys are who they are, and it's very, very rare you get like one of the best cases of a quarterback changing schools and it working out was Joe Burrow, which I mean that still confuses people. That still confuses me how everything about Burrow confuses me. But I mean, good for him. But that's like your ultimate best case, and that's like the 1% of the 1% when it comes to that.
Right. That's like Baker level of like, we'll get the walk on it. That's an exception.
When a quarterback can change that much. I'm not saying it can't happen. It can. Some guys need, it's like some guys need different coaching. They need a different place. And there are guys who are, they'll go up and down. They will. Now, you're not just going to be stuck with who you are. But at this point, if I see it's mental, get Mateer good at sports, get Mateer a different sports therapist, and have him see a sports therapist literally every day until the season starts next year. Try and figure it out, because that's just, look at Jackson Arnold. I'll use him as an example, as a guy who, the big fear with him was his thought process. And he was a little heady like that. And if you could ask Hugh Freeze, he never would have met Jackson Arnold. So look, if Mateer comes back next year, I'm down on it now, but I'm totally gonna be drinking the hopium if Mateer comes back by July next year. I just know me. So I hope if Mateer stays, I hope he works out. I want to be wrong. I want to, maybe things will work. Maybe they can find the flaw in his game that'll work itself out. But I would rather just change quarterbacks and kind of roll the dice with that rather than stick with Mateer, because I feel like we know what we're going to get with Mateer. But we'll see. We'll see.
I think with to follow up with your comment to House Money Pro about Jim, I think the jury is still out on how good he is, because when you take a look at the list of who he had, and I had to Google, I'm going to be honest, I don't know off the top of my head, once he was hired, who was officially who he claimed as he helped bring in. But like Neubauer, he was our third string quarterback, was a non-factor, was never going to be a factor. So it is what it is. You just needed him as a break glass in case of emergency. J. Marco Carter, he had some flashes, but really didn't have an input back at this point. Tate Sandell, obviously, we saw that was a great addition. Jake Makula, great addition in my opinion, but him getting sick really did affect. And we saw Fabechi maybe was a better center at this point, but I think he was a great get. Lolaway, I think is how we say his last name. I don't think he played at all, so it wasn't in. It is what it is. Cole Gonzalez, I think he was there for depth and didn't even reach the field. And then finally, Jaden Ott was just a complete miss. I think right now the biggest gets were Michaela and Tate Sandell, but I don't know if they outweigh Ott, if that makes sense, because that's special teams, and that is I think was Michaela Gavin supposed to be a reserve O lineman? He wasn't supposed to start, or was he supposed to start?
I think he was supposed to be a reserve O lineman.
I think based on that, I think he was still a good get and improvement based on the injuries and stuff. But the Ott one, that's hard because that almost overshadows it because of how much of a miss that was. Even though based on the hearsay, if you go check the boards, if you go like kind of research, peruse a little bit, you find out that's who Ott was. They all said from California, like, you don't know what you're getting. He's a lazy person, and that if he changes, prove us wrong. But they didn't, and he didn't. I think he made someone calculate like $12,000 a yard essentially this year. He only was an impact player for 66 yards. He was a nothing. So
some guys just are who they are, and that's I don't like it. There's a reason why I don't like guys who are lazy or head cases. Like, don't get me wrong, they can work out. They can, sometimes in college these guys work out because they'll do just enough to get themselves drafted. But especially with NIL, especially with NIL, laziness and head cases really shit. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with those guys. And that's it's unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? So
I look to follow up again on a second question. Jimmy, I was just looking kind of through my sources and looking through like what's been discussed. I don't think they're going to go after the Cincinnati quarterback. I think he'd be good as well, but I also think anybody would be good, but I don't think he's going to be picked for it. I think they already have their targets, but as far as I'm aware, and I had to really look through my notes, he's not going to be it. It is what it is. And again, following up again, House Money Pro, Ott is an outlier, but you have to consider how much Jim bragged about him and like how big of a get he was for OU and how he was the premier transfer beside Mateer. You got to take it both ways as well. I get the point too that he's an outlier. I also say too that may make them a little hesitant on some of these other recruits, which may have a damage long term of like, are they just coming here for a paycheck at this point? Now, this also could change if they have some contracts of, hey, you don't perform, we're going to ask for the money back. And I think that's what's already happening. We're seeing that with Georgia. Like, if you're not reaching the field, we're not paying you guys. And I think that's valid. They don't do the work, they don't do the job. It'll be a case by case, and it will be based on this Georgia ruling. But
yeah.
Ott still was like the second biggest get, and that Jim did not recruit Mateer. That was Joe and everybody else. I do think though that is a big miss. We just have to see kind of like who's available in the portal and who's able to convince at this point. But Ott was a bust. And I know we all agree with that. To follow up with you as well, because I see a lot of your comments. I do want to make sure I'm responding to the comments as well. You're exactly right. That's what Mateer was. Like a lot of the Washington State Cougars said exactly what Mateer was. He was a borderline, like he's almost a two-star quarterback. Like he didn't have offers because he's not that good, in my opinion. And I think that showed. Like he's very inconsistent and he has glaring errors at this point. I think Mateer is what they exactly said. And I said it earlier in the live stream if you weren't here for it, that Mateer, when he faces lesser competition and has a lot of confidence, he's fine. We saw that against Michigan. We've seen that against other teams. when he faces adversity, he starts to fall apart very fast and panics and makes mistakes. Whether it's a turnover, whether it's holding onto the ball too long, whether that's not seeing the field. That's just who he is. I don't think there's any growth there left. That's just my opinion, though. I know there will be other people who say, well, but I disagree with them. I think he fails even the eye test. I don't think there's any growth left with Mateer. But I do agree with you that I think the next AD is going to be the key for that. And hopefully we will know on that very soon, because you want to get this guy in to help with the transfer and stuff as well. I also, we can all agree it's not Bob. Like, anybody who keeps thinking it's going to be Bob, Bob doesn't want it. Please let it go. It's not going to be Bob Stoops. Let it go. Let it go.
Never.
As Elsa has said.
Never, Josh. Never. There's certain things I'll never let go.
Well, you're gonna have to let this one go. So, any last questions, chat, before we wrap up? And while y'all type it out, Gavin, do you got any final questions? Any final thoughts? Post OU game, post round one.
Not really. Now I can be able to get some good sleep finally.
That's valid.
I mean, honestly, like, I could probably say this. It's like, as much as you would save anything, it's like, at least I'll have the off season to have at least some good sleep. That's all I could really care for at this point.
Gavin, what off season?
There's
no off season. No off season. No days off.
There is no days off, not with the recruiting and the transfer portal. Swiggy, do you got any final thoughts?
My final thoughts are that even if the Ravens win this game, Lamar Jackson's back seems to be giving him problems again. I would sell those Ravens futures right now if I'm you guys. Oh my! Oh, what are they're calling it? Did the memo go out last week about OPI? Sorry,
because that's the second one today, isn't it?
If you're not watching the Patriots game, they just gave very soft OPI after that, and that happened twice in the Lions game. And I'm just wondering if a memo or something went out last week.
Maybe.
Maybe remember, guys. Maybe remember, people. While it's fun to blame the refs most of the time, and most of the time they're being told what to do and what to call, not literally. Not literally while the game is going on, but they get memos during the week like everyone else.
And, I think that's a good point to end on for tonight's live stream, Swiggy, and I know there was a lot of people frustrated with the OU game that the refs weren't calling anything. And yes, they did miss calls. Like, there was very blatant missed calls. End of the day, though, guys, the refs weren't the problem. Let's stress that right now. The refs did not decide the outcome of this game.
Good teams overcomes refs.
Well, it's not even that. It's OU shot themselves in the foot, and it was not result of a ref call for it. It was their own mistakes, and we have to own that. It just sucks to suck. So
I still don't believe that one. I still don't believe that one was a catch. I wish they'd taken a look at it, but
what's funny?
I also don't care enough. So
you know what's funny, Swiggy, on that one? The one that makes me more upset. That was the one with the very, very, very blatant false start. That
one. Yeah,
that actually upsets me more, and it was less about the.
That was the only play that I really got mad at, and we still had our chances after that. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, I have nothing else except let's go Thunder now.
Yep, let's go Thunder.
Yeah. Yeah. So if there's one thing, I want to say one final thing, and this is just what I want to say, just more of a transparency deal, if anything. I would love, and this is just in my opinion, because we don't usually see a lot of stuff that usually talks about with the officials and stuff like that and everything. At least have a little bit more better transparency stuff and everything with these officials. I would just love to be able to kind of see that to how they do in the NBA, like a 2-minute drill, or saying, oh, we said something like that or anything. I would like to just see at least some sort of better deal of transparency and not just have things sort of under the rug, if anything. I mean, look, I mean, the ACC kind of done a little bit of things too, where they actually have people, where they show on their broadcasts of the actual reviews and stuff, and they be able to talk it through and everything. I would like to just have a little bit more the issues to where we can see more transparency along those lines. That's just my 2 cents at least.
I would personally would like seeing the refs all be consistent on stuff because I do think at some point it's a let's take that false start. Look, you miss it, but that happened literally right in front of you. Like, I can understand if there was a ref, it was the sideline. They're not focused on that. I can at least understand that. But that's borderline incompetence and just not doing their job. Like, you are literally behind the line, behind the quarterback. That happens. Like, bro, you can't let that happen. You got to throw the flag at that point. Like, that's not even we just missed the holding because our gloves are white and it blends in with the jersey. That was blatant, and they have to make that call. Again, that didn't affect the outcome of the game. Don't misconstrue that, but that was bad. So, all right, guys, let's wrap up here. Everybody, I want to thank y'all for joining tonight. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live and or when I upload a video. Due to the holidays this week, obviously, we will not have a live stream on Wednesday. We will have a live stream next Sunday to kind of just recap the 2025 season as a whole for OU and what was successful, what needs areas of improvement, kind of to just put a bow on top of the on the team and kind of decide was the season successful. For some, they could say yes, some they say no, but we will decide next Sunday. So Boomer Sooner, guys, there's only one. It's great talking with everybody, but we'll see everybody on the next live stream. Happy holidays, everybody, and stay safe. Boomer.